Where do I begin? That smell.
Where's your light coming from?
My little portable power station here is powering that one, and then that one by an extension. I'm only using 12 watts. So I have 40 hours of light if I keep it at this level. But I have a generator that's powering the power station, which is powering all my other stuff. This thing is pretty handy. It's definitely paid for itself a few times over by now.
So what are you doing right now?
So right now I'm trying to pick a pan that's going to work on this little propane heater, which people are already making fun of me that I'm not using the big thing, but I mean, I'm just cooking one patty. All I need is one little flame, right?
You were talking about you haven't had protein in a bit. When's the last time you ate?
Well, I've been eating snacks. I got a bunch of snacks here. The fireman actually gave me, ironically. Usually it's the other way around, right? But so I've been snacking on that. It's like unhealthy stuff. Usually my diet is primarily beef, so this is the first time I'm having beef since the fire. So I'm looking forward to that. A little butter. I don't know if I want to chance it with one of the warm ones in the freezer. I don't know how long they've been warm. Maybe you can just smell it and kind of go based on smell, but maybe not. So what's it going to be? One giant patty. That should take care of me, right?
And just so everyone knows, this is the fresh meat from from Trader Joe's, not from. It's not his warm meat.
It's not the warm meat from the freezer.
Yeah.
Little dash of pepper.
So this is how the Malibu survivors survive.
Well, I may be atypical. I don't know. I'm definitely the only person in this part of the neighborhood. I'm all alone. And truthfully, I don't really know if I need to be here. Maybe this is overkill. But there's kind of a story behind that too. A little backstory to why I'm even here is my mom had intruders over the summer. I have an apartment in town with my girlfriend, and you know, we've been dabbling with the idea of moving back, saving some money on rent, but when my mom had the intruders, it kind of put it to the forefront that things are getting a little dangerous, and I decided now's the time. I'm going to move home, and I'm going to protect my mom, and I'm going to protect the house, and save some money on rent. Here I am, almost a week. When did the fire happen? What day of the week was it?
I'm going to say it was Tuesday, and we're at Sunday right now. So
Yeah.
This is pretty much the sixth night.
The sixth night. So almost a week without a shower because I don't have hot water. And, you know, I'm debating taking a cold shower one of these days. But, yeah, just been, first few days, you know, the thinking was protect against, you know, the small fires that are starting up and putting out the fires that were still blazing. I'll show you some of the footage of that. But then it kind of transitioned to protect against potential looters. And so, yeah, I just decided to stay. And, you know, if it really becomes unlivable, I would leave. But, you know, my family brought me a generator and some propane stuff. So that, along with my little solar battery station, I think I'll be fine. Well, that smells good. So,
All right. Let's talk about day one. So you were here when the fire started. That was were you here at this house when the fire started?
No,
Or where were you when it started about 10:30 that day?
I'm scattered and I'm hangry. I feel like I should have a few bites before I feel mentally scattered and I want to be able to tell the story properly. But I know I need to get a few bites in me. And you mentioned you got time, right? So,
Yep, go for it, man. I'm just gonna grab some B-roll.
all right, cool. Yeah, let's hang out a bit. So, and there's more backstory there. This is the property I grew up in, but it's not the house I grew up in, because this house was lost back in the fires of '93.
In '93, this place burned down?
Yes, it burned down, and I was thinking about, could I have done more? I remember I was like drinking and hanging out with a friend while the fire was approaching and not really taking it seriously. So, yeah, I definitely regretted not being more proactive to, prepare and save the house and gather things of value. But got my grandma out, which was the important thing. This time around, I didn't really have anyone to save, so I was free to focus my efforts more on just the house. And I also had a little bit of a thing out for the fire. After you lose your home to a fire, I don't know if this is how other people feel, but it almost feels like the fire becomes like a living thing, like an adversary. And it was coming after me again, and I didn't want to let it win. So it became kind of this personal grudge. And, we're going to talk about that, but I was free to just kind of risk it a bit to save the house. I had asked if I had water pressure, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, we had water pressure up until the very last minute when I left. And I heard other people didn't. I heard some people didn't make it because they stayed behind and tried to hose it. Yeah,
And in relation, don't give out your address or your street, but let's say in relation to Dukes.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm overlooking Dukes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Edward Bedrosian. Bedrosian.
All right. And just in case the stations ask, you do have permits for all the things you're legal, right, sir?
I'm legal.
All right.
I'm also having to be kind of mindful of predators, which we've had quite a few reports of. I probably should have met you on the street when you got here, because we've had mountain lions on our street not that long ago. When you go, maybe I'll walk you out. To get eaten by a mountain lion, and so I'm just, extra careful.
So is this your first hot meal in 6 days?
Yeah, it is. I have managed to boil water and made myself a pour-over coffee, and I've had that for every morning for the last, 3-4 mornings. So let's see how this came out. Wow, that's okay. So what? It's undercooked in the middle. I just won't eat the middle. I wonder if I've lost weight. I've been eating junk, which maybe makes you gain weight. But either way, I haven't been healthy. The crap I've been breathing, my lungs took a hit. At the same time, I'm kind of thriving in a weird way that's hard to explain. I think there's something primal happening here. When you're kind of put in a survival situation, you tap into something that I think most of us have kind of forgotten about. A part of our brain that maybe we've evolved past, if that makes sense. That's good. Hot. Burning my mouth.
So start from the beginning on this one.
Yeah, so I'm here hanging out with my girlfriend who lives here with me, and I saw the smoke. My mom was out of town, and I didn't like it. because the smoke was upwind, so blowing towards me, and we're in the middle of Santa Ana winds. So I knew the wind conditions were really bad. And so I'm like, Jesus, this is not good. And so I called my sister, who lives in Cyprus, and I suggested that she come and join us and help load cars. You know, we've got a bunch of sentimental stuff that, you know, at this point, it's a routine, load the cars. We know pretty much where everything is, but it's still a big job, and I knew I wanted to get started early. So she came over, and we all started loading cars. So my sister, my girlfriend, and I, we had 3 carloads, and the fire's approaching, and I think, you know, it started to get more serious, and towards the end, it was moving towards us from the northeast, kind of diagonally, and, you know, I didn't think there was really going to be anything to stop it. There was no reason it wasn't going to just mow right through us. At a certain point, I remember saying, we've probably got about 7 or 8 minutes. And at that point, I told my sister and my girlfriend, you go, get down to the bottom of the hill, and we'll meet. I think we had agreed to meet at Jack in the Box parking lot, which may be like a mile down the road. And I said I'd be right behind them, but I hung back a bit, and I did a bunch of watering, and I've got footage of that. And I think I kind of knew, you know, the gravity of this, so I was taking footage of all this, footage of the fire approaching, and footage of what I was doing, because I thought, if this works, this is going to be very interesting. And so I have a garden hose on one side and an actual fire hose on the other side. And I did a lot with that fire hose, and I put down a good amount of water. Finally, I'm back in the front of the house, and the sheriffs are like, you gotta go now. A little more watering, and I left and went down to the bottom of the hill. By that time, my party and I had communicated that we were just gonna actually meet on PCH at the bottom and watch, because from there, we were going to be able to see whether the house was going to burn. I remember saying, let's turn back. I don't want to go all the way to Jack in the Box. I need to know if it burned or not. And we can see that from right here. So let's stop here. So pulled over to the side of the road, took footage, looking up at our house, and fire's kind of coming from behind the hill. So the house is silhouetted, and you can't really see where the fire is going to pop up. But then it curved around the side of the hill, and it burned all the way up to the base of our house. And we watched while houses on PCH are on fire over here, houses on this hill are on fire, houses on PCH on this side are on fire, and our whole hillside is on fire, but it stopped at the base of our house. And I recognized the grid that was burning as being our railroad tie landscaping, like a retaining wall that was built. And so I knew that if it was no higher than that, it had to just be our yard. And then occasionally the smoke would clear and you could just see our house still there. And so I'm thinking, holy crap, it hasn't burned yet. But the fire spread through the whole area we were at. So the two of them got nervous, and they said, we're just going to go. So my sister went back to her place, and my girlfriend went back to our apartment. And I moved up the street a few houses to the Duke's parking lot. It seemed like a safe place because it's just a big open lot where no fire is going to touch you. And I waited there. I watched the fire burn. I watched a couple of our neighbors' houses, I'm pretty sure, burn. I could see flames coming from where their houses would have been. I made an attempt to drive up to the house at a certain point. I don't know what time that was. I'm guessing it was around 1 or 2 a.m. I didn't film it. It was kind of a spontaneous thing. I knew I wanted to go up to the house because everything around the house was still burning, but it was still there. And so I thought, okay, it's still there. if I wait too long, something's going to catch it on fire. I got to go try to save the house. If the road's passable, I'm going for it. And I tried to work up the courage to actually do it and wait for, cops to pass on and fire trucks to kind of pass on. And I found myself alone at one moment. I was like, all right, I'm going for it. And unfortunately, I didn't film that one. I wish I had, because that was crazy. I go up Las Flores Canyon, and there's fire on either side of me. There's embers blowing across, and I'm making it up the canyon. It's starting to get hot inside my car. All of a sudden, smoke just comes across the street, and I can't see the road anymore. I had been following the yellow line in the middle, couldn't see that anymore. I had to slow down because it's a windy road, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to run into one of the sides of the road and become disabled, and I'm getting hot inside the car, and I'm basically just going to cook in this car if that happens. I can't stop, so I need to find a place to turn around, and I knew that the road widened a little bit up ahead, so the smoke cleared a bit. I saw the yellow, I followed it, I made it up to that part, I did a quick turn, came back down, and blazed through where I had come from and went back to the Duke's lot, and I just thought, holy crap, that was fucking stupid. So, but I knew that if the fire dies down a bit, I'll be able to make another attempt. On the second attempt, I filmed, and the third and the fourth. There was one attempt where I stopped because there was a fire hose across, and one of the firemen had told me that it's not good to run over a fire hose when it's being used. So I went back. Next time I went up, I made it a little further, and I turned a corner and hit a giant boulder. It slammed the bottom of my car. I got out. I kicked some of the boulders out of the way, and I looked ahead to where I needed to go, and it was pretty much impassable. Houses on fire. So I thought, okay, I'm going to wait a little longer. I went back to the bottom, and I actually, I think I caught a couple hours of sleep in my car. I think it might have been around 5 a.m. when I made the next trip up.
So we're talking 5 a.m. Wednesday now? Because the fire started, let's say, on Tuesday, around 10. So the whole night, got some sleep. Now 5 a.m. Wednesday morning, we'll call it, I believe it's the 8th, is when...
Yeah, it would have been. I made it up here, and I walked through the front entrance, and I just let out a crazy, primal shout of victory, which I think goes to my history with fires. And I was just thrilled with what I had realized was the watering I had done and how that had saved the house. I went back to the fire hose to try to put out all the fires that were still going, which I had filmed. And there was no water pressure. But fortunately, I'm a weirdo prepper, and I had hundreds of big bottles of water. You can see some of them here on the side of the house. And so I was just grabbing them two at a time and dumping them on all of the hot spots. And I ended up getting things a little bit under control. And, it ended up, it felt like an all-nighter. I didn't really sleep. So that whole morning and whole rest of the next day was fighting little fires, frantically pruning hedges that were too close to the house, and helping neighbors put out fires, shut off their water when they had burst pipes, and just, running on fumes, adrenaline. And finally got some sleep. My next door neighbor, Donna, managed to relieve me a little bit, and she kind of watched things while I slept. And then we kind of took turns. We took shifts for a while, and we had a good kind of team going for a while. But now it's just me here alone, and the fires are gone, and now it's just kind of the waiting game, making sure that there's no looters, and waiting for utilities to come back, and just kind of refusing to leave just out of indignation, I guess. so here we are, and you know, I've got a lot of footage to show you of what it was like before, during, and after.
All right. So since I have you standing right here and you're fed, you've been here for 5 days now, because the first night you weren't really here, but you got here, let's say Wednesday morning. So now it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're sitting here Sunday night. So you've been here surviving, glamping per se.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing? What have you been eating? What have you been drinking? Talk about hot food, cold food.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was prepared because I have a whole bunch of water, so the water was taken care of, and we have canned food, so I knew I'd be good on that. But pretty early on, actually, a firefighter I met down at Duke's gave me a bag of Jack Links, a couple bags of Jack Links, so that helped me for the first day. And then the firefighters on the street gave me a bunch of sack lunches that were filled with just random snacks. So, you know, I guess it's a justifiable time to cheat on your diet a little bit. And yeah, so I've been just basically snacking on junk. I put my kettle in the fireplace, and I boiled water.
What's up with that kettle?
Yeah, I don't know whether to name her Bessie Lou or Old Faithful, but I was putting her on the fireplace and just using kindling under it to boil water and make myself a pour over. So that took care of me for the first couple of mornings. Now I've got propane. It's basically doing the same thing, but coffee was an important thing for me to get a handle on.
So go ahead and take me through.
Well, this is when I first came, saw the house was still here, and I came inside and just let out a roar like I've never let out before. Just like victory, you know what I mean? It's still here. I did it. Then it was getting to work, checking out all the little fires and seeing what the damage was.
Can you take us around to some of that damage?
Yeah, we'll go around the outside of the house.
All right, we're rolling.
Okay. So, we got ocean that way, little strip of land here, a couple palm trees that burned in the '93 fire. And the tree on the right here, you can see the whole trunk is black, right? That one caught, it went up to the top there, but didn't really continue. But all this is charred. All this land here is charred. And these bushes here, I think they burned, yeah, they burned. And you got ocean here, so all those houses on PCH on the left and right burned. And you can see now that they've got those crews working. This strip right in front of us survived. You got Duke's restaurant right there, and then the carnage begins right where that cop is, all the way up to that first little peninsula. All these homes, charred. Hillside the whole hillside, and there's the fire damage on the side of the house. But she's still there. The charring isn't as evident in this light, but it's all burned, except these two big pine trees or fir trees. I was surprised. I really thought they'd go up.
Stop.
Yep. It burned under the house here, and it damaged the little the wall here. You can see. Destroyed these stairs, and there was a greenhouse just to the left. Destroyed this trellis. You can see it burned out on the bottom. And just a bunch of railroad ties that made up kind of little planters we had all over the place.
Stop.
So
There's the hose.
Yeah, there's the hose. And if you look up, you can see where the trees touch our roof. And I watered the crap out of this area, including these hedges that burned. But I put most of the water down at these trees that touch our roof. And my concern was when these bushes go, which they probably will, it's going to spread to these trees, and that's going to catch our house. And you can see that the left edge of the trees are brown, so they did get.
We're looking at PCH.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts when you see all this, man? I mean, you're happy and you're sad at the same time.
Yeah. It's hard to say you're happy. I'm relieved, but there's an overwhelming sense of sorrow just from the magnitude of all the loss. And I can say I know what it feels like because I have been through it. But the important thing is you live. If you live, property can always be replaced. But it's a tough thing to go through, especially if you don't have time to take out any of your sentimental items. I have a client who lost everything, someone who I had actually recovered all her pictures, family photos off of a failed hard drive, and she lost all that. So I may actually end up doing the recovery for her again and getting her files back again. I think that would be a nice relief for her, hopefully. At one point they made fun of me for this, and during the fires they were asking me if they could have water bottles. When you have no water pressure, stuff like this comes in very handy. And it worked. So I figured, just leave it here for who knows what kind of disaster. Maybe a fire, maybe some kind of a famine. You want footage of the empty ones? That could be interesting. I'd have to let you in the other way. Maybe later. I'm going to chop all these down. We have to figure out a better way to make a barrier between houses. And now she's worried about a slide. The next big rain we have is going to be a problem. No more plants to hold the dirt down in her case. It's pretty steep, so wouldn't be good for us if the land started to move here. So that's going to be fun. Watch your step right there. But we're very, very fortunate. So, not complaining. No regrets. And that's the thing. I didn't want to have any regrets this time. I knew that if I didn't stay behind and just water until the last second, I would have regrets. That Duke's parking lot's gonna have meaning for me. That was my safe space. It's surreal. I've had a lot of moments when it's just quiet, it's just me up here, and I'm just trying to process everything that happened. It's hard to put into words. Just this level of devastation. Now, this is the room that had the fire damage, so it actually stinks from smoke damage. You're going to want to hold your breath on this part. Ready? And here I put some of the stuff that I had cut from the side of the house because, again, I didn't know where else to put it, so it ends up in the master bedroom on the floor. This room is already screwed from the smoke damage, so definitely going to need to do something in this room, and I'm sure they're going to have to rebuild the outside. And you've got a couple little areas where I've put some of the bottles that I used. If you look to the left there, just a few of those. And like I said, the bottles that you saw outside is, I think, less than half of what I started with. But the big stockpile is in here. This is where most of them got thrown after they got used. So these helped save the house. Wow. Not so crazy now, am I?
No, you're still crazy.
Yeah. Basically beef and maybe milk, because that's the kind of thing I can't keep cold right now. This generator can't power the fridges. The fridges are old and they take too much power. I tried it. So I can't keep anything cold, which means beef and milk are iffy for me. I just have to eat stuff when I get it. My girlfriend bought me a mini fridge today, but was unable to get through. So, you know, if you're in the area and you have beef on you, I would take it. But I'm not asking you to make a trip for me. And I'm hoping that someone in my family will get through. I'm hoping that they'll cut the restrictions soon so that people can get in here finally. I mean, they've got to loosen it eventually. Although I did hear that in the Woolsey fire, they had closed it to residents for 3 weeks. So I'm prepared to be hunkered down for a while. We'll see.
Yeah, if I can, I'll see what I can do about beef and some milk and some ice. So we're going to zoom in on you here, and we're going to grab some ending thoughts here. So after it's all said and done, how you feel about everything that's been going on, how you feel now you're at day 5, day 6, with some more wind coming. So what's your plan?
Well, everything's kind of burned around me, so I do feel like I'm not afraid of a fire just creeping up and overtaking me like if there was fuel all around me. But I still have to watch out for embers and stuff. So I feel pretty good. I feel good about it. I know now also that I have a safe escape, that if the house did catch on fire, pretty much anywhere I run is going to be into something that's already burned, some hillside that already burned, and I'll be safe there. So I'm not really fearing for my life anymore. I just don't want to lose the house. So, you know, just going to hunker down and do what I can and hopefully, you know, be awake when and if something happens. And, you know, trying to maybe even enjoy the process of just living like a caveman for a little while.
That's a good ending. Name and spelling one more time, Ed.
Ed Bedrosian. That's Bedrosian.
All right, thank you, Ed. Much appreciated. Good luck.
Thank you.
Video of your living situation and how a man on top of a hill with no electricity is surviving.
I actually have an arm wrestling tournament at the end of January.
I was told not to arm wrestle you. I was told don't arm wrestle.
No, it's nothing like that. It's just a fun little hobby. But there is a tournament.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the
wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep 'em out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah.
Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a